As many retired adults may have a difficult time finding places to socialize and continue learning after work ends, there is a college for that with rec center costs.
An institute at Bradley University is helping them both, and it won't require a student loan. Liz Lape in the studio with more on how this works. Liz?
Janice, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Bradley University has been offering educational classes and trips to adult learners for 30 years. Members say it's a fantastic way to keep their brain intellectually healthy and meet new friends.
When you stop growing, when you stop learning.
These people are redefining what a student looks like. Many are retired, but they're here in class to have fun, learn something new, and meet new people.
Curiosity never retires. I mean, we stay curious, we stay learning, we stay young.
At Bradley University, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute offers adult learners classes, study groups, and educational trips. Classes are geared towards people age 50 and up, but any adult can join. Bradley's Director of Continuing Education, Catherine Lawless, says their goal is to provide a space to educate and socialize.
Studies and research have shown that lifelong learning is important. I think many people are getting, more and more used to the idea that learning never stops, that how important it is to not only stay engaged actively, stay engaged socially, and stay engaged intellectually.
There are no tests or grades, and classes usually run up to 2 hours for 4 to 6 weeks. They go on local trips, but also across the world. Next summer, they will be going to Croatia on the Adriatic Sea. She says the classes and trips are facilitated or taught by volunteers, and they pick the subject matter based on member feedback.
I'd like to see a class on this, or I'd like to dive into a book study on this. And so it's really only limited by their imagination.
One member said she and her husband have been going to classes for the last 20 years.
Study groups, the classes are fantastic, the trips that they have, and we just wanted more of something to challenge our life, something that was interesting.
And she says it's been a great way to keep her brain healthy and connect with the community.
I think it's vitally important to maintain your intellectual stimulation and again, just being with people. Once you're retired and living in isolation, that's not good.
Right now, the Institute has around 1,100 members, and they've been steadily growing since the pandemic. People can become members for just $5 each spring, summer, fall, and winter quarter, and some classes are even free. Lawless said you can become a member at any time and sign up for upcoming programs now.